Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Prime Minister Modi has inaugurated the Vizhinjam International Seaport. It is located in Kerala's capital city, Thiruvananthapuram, and is expected to significantly boost India's presence in global shipping and trade routes. The port has been constructed by Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited in partnership with the Kerala government. The project to build a now fully operational port cost around 8,900 crores. It received its commercial go-ahead in December last year after a successful trial phase in July 2024. Vizhinjam International Seaport has made remarkable achievements in transshipment container handling, with over 285 ships docking at the ports, including some of the largest container ships in the world. What's interesting about this port is that it is India's largest transshipment port. That's not all. It is located a mere 10 nautical miles from the closest major international shipping route. An emerging locus of global trade, Vizhinjam's strategic position and cutting-edge tech vows to be a game changer for Bharat. And we'll discuss this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Professor Shekhar Vijayan, political analyst, Professor Madhav Nalapad, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, with us on the show as well, Commander Bhushan Devan, former Navy officer, with us on the program as well. Professor Nalapad, I'll begin with you, sir. Well, all ports are good for the economy, but when it comes to India's ascendance in terms of its partnership, towards the Pacific and towards the South China Sea, what do you make of the importance and the relevance of this port?
Well, I think it's an extremely important port, Vizhinjam. There's no question about it. And as a consequence, India will have a first-class port right on its western coast, which is again good news for India, at the end of the western coastline, and it's going to be very useful because Kerala has got a lot of exports, so have nearby areas, Karnataka, for example. They can all use this port. So I think on the whole, it's very good news, and I think we should all welcome it.
All right, Dr. Sharad Kohli, senior economist, is also with us on the platform. Dr. Kohli, your assessment and thoughts on India's ability to, successfully reach out to the world through these ports, which don't only become assets, they become, a central focus of how India plans to, in fact, operate in the future and build its economy.
Good evening, Vineet. Good evening to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. I think a lot of people who stay in the mainland or inland, do not realize the importance of ports. I'm glad you're doing a show like this, where people know about the importance of ports. I mean, a lot of people go for cruises through the ports, but little do they know that so much of business happens through the ports. And these ports are paramount to countries' international trade. Now, what is important about this Kerala port, which Prime Minister has inaugurated, is that this provides a transshipment facility. Transshipment, for the NewsX viewers who do not understand international trade, I can put it in easy words, that it is basically using another country's facility for exporting the goods. When you cannot directly export, you probably use another country's facility to probably redirect the goods. I think this is where India was missing on, and this port has got a specialization in transshipment. So we're going to see a lot of business coming to India, where a lot of other countries can use this port for transshipment. We all know that port becomes a revenue earner, although this is promoted by Adani Ports and the Kerala government jointly. This is a PPP model where the revenue, you have the handling revenue, you have the storage revenue, you have the wharfage revenue. You've got so many kinds of revenue which comes into the port. But it will also help, as Professor Nalapad said, it will also help in, promoting the trade around the South Indian coast. All the southern states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra, Karnataka, Telangana, they'll all be benefiting from this particular port, and they can use this port for sending to the western region, and for the people who want to know that which countries particularly are going to be, we're going to be having the reach. We have basically Middle East, Africa. And even, in future, we can even look at this port connecting to IMEC, which is the India-Middle East Economic Corridor, because this will probably interlink with IMEC once it's ready. So this will become a feeder to the IMEC corridor, which India is proposing to be built with Middle East right up to Europe. So I think port overall is part of India's infrastructure push, and it is this infrastructure push, Vineet, which has put India on the world economic map. We are today the fourth largest economy in the world. We've almost crossed $4 trillion. And the world is looking at us. We are growing at 6.5%. When America, the largest economy in the world, has slowed down, has gone into negative. The American quarterly data came out. It's growing at minus 0.3%. And another quarter in America in minus would mean America would be in recession. The world is not growing at more than 2.5% or 2%. The estimates are yet to come, but so India growing 3 times the pace of the world. And one of the prime reasons has been the push on infrastructure. And I think ports, apart from railways, apart from highways, apart from airports, ports are one of the key international trade drivers. And the idea of the government and the aim of the government is to bring down the logistic costs. We know that Indian logistic costs are slightly higher than the global logistic costs. We clock at around 11% to 12%. Ideal number as a logistic cost is about 7 to 8%, which is where we need to reach in the times to come. So I think this will bring down the logistic cost. It will bring in more revenue to the country. It will make India as a transshipment hub, which for me is the biggest takeaway. Of course, apart from helping the Kerala people, and then we all know that Kerala is known for immigrants. I mean, a lot of Keralites, they are settled across the world. Whichever country you go, you find a Keralite there. There are very few educated Keralites who like to stay back in Kerala. This will also generate a lot of employment for Keralites. So I hope that it will prevent the brain drain which happens from Kerala, and a lot of people will get employed in Kerala. So overall, I think a win-win situation for India from an infrastructure point of view, from an economic growth point of view, and a very important aspect which I wanted to mention in the beginning, but I'll rather mention it now, that Prime Minister, as far as he's concerned, well, people who accuse Adani of linking him with Prime Minister Modi and so forth, I think this is a slap on their face, because Adani Group does not necessarily, I'm by no means an ambassador of Adani Group, but this is anybody's observation. By no means Adani is investing only in BJP ruled states. Adani is investing in a balanced way across the country. And Kerala, we know, has been traditionally not ruled by BJP for times immemorial. So an Adani investment going, Prime Minister going and inaugurating this, speaks volumes of the fact that balanced development of the country, irrespective of political affinities, works. And this is the aim of the government, Vineet.
Right. Let's not also forget that he made a remark against the India alliance as well, and Shashi Tharoor's presence also became a salient highlight of this particular inauguration. But nevertheless, Commander Diwan, let's also tell our viewers what the importance of this port is. 75% of India's maritime cargo, through this scale, either came to Colombo, it came to Dubai, or it came to Singapore, and then it was transported to smaller ships that would bring it to Indian coast. But that's not going to happen any longer. We have a port which is capable of taking care of big ships that can directly come here and be offloaded. So it's not only about the cost saving, it's also about the income that India is going to be able to generate.
Exactly. Hitherto, we were spending almost $220 million annually because our transshipment cargo into India and out of India was through Colombo, which was translating into roughly $80 to $90 per container extra cost. Now that will finish. Now this Vizhinjam Port is a natural deep water port, 24 meters water depth, like 9 stories tall building underwater, and about 10 meters breakwater height above the sea surface, and 3 kilometers long, 3.1 kilometers long breakwater. This is the current, which is phase 1, and meant to handle 1 million containers, 1 million TEUs annually. And by 2028, it may be scaled up to 5 to 6 million TEUs. I just like to clarify this concept of transshipment a bit more, though Dr. Kohli has done it quite well, I think. The point is, since we didn't have a port like this, with a deep water draft, deep depth, and why natural harbor, like Bombay is also a natural harbor, Visakhapatnam is not a natural harbor. So what you find if you go to Visakhapatnam port harbor, you will find continuously dredgers are working there. Now I have been senior vice president at Adani Port in Mundra. If you go there, continuously dredging is happening there. Why? The siltation is happening there. When siltation happens, then the depth available for the ship to dock, that depth reduces. If depth reduces, then smaller ship can only dock, bigger ships can't dock. Now Vizhinjam Port can dock ULCS, ultra large container ships. The meaning is, for example, today, and China has about 4 to 5 transshipment ports. So the basic main trunk routes, for example, from here, from Suez Canal, from Europe, when the merchandise comes, merchant vessel enters Suez, from Suez Canal enters Gulf, from Gulf, or any traffic originates from Persian Gulf. It comes from Straits of Hormuz, further comes the Northern Arabian Sea, comes down and goes. The big, huge ships could not dock hitherto in India. So something meant for Chennai, so big ships had to undock at Colombo. So from there, the shipment had to be broken into pieces and sent maybe to Chennai, maybe to Mumbai, maybe to JNPT, maybe to Mundra, maybe, Puri, whatever. So this kind of thing will no longer be required. Now, I think if we are serious player in the economic world, emerging power, I think this is time, and this is high time we had a transshipment port like this. Let me also add, another 5 to 7 years, another big, huge transshipment port is coming up in Port Blair at a cost of about 30,000 crores. That is again strategic. Now, when it comes to war situation, we all know Straits of Malacca is a jugular vein for China. And now with the transshipment port and our in Port Blair, we are there. We're just very close to the main shipping lines. So this has got economic significance. This has got strategic significance. And I think if we are a serious player in the global trade, this is something which was waiting to happen. It's not a day late, not a day early. So the point is that I must tell you that and I was in Cochin as a naval officer, and I found one fine day Cochin Stock Exchange caught fire. See, Kerala and West Bengal, they don't let industry flourish, communist leanings or whatever. Cochin Stock Exchange, symbol of capitalism, caught fire. It was put on fire. It was extinguished. But similarly, a lot of fishing community in Trivandrum, they have opposed this port. But today, in this port, fisherwomen, they are crane operators there. And I must tell you, when you require such huge ships and huge ships to be docked and containers to be handled, you have to have huge cranes, STS cranes, with 75 meters reach. Can you imagine? 100 meters reach and 20 meters reach behind and 20 meters height. So such huge cranes have to be operated. It's a great skill and great employment opportunity. And another thing, when containers come, now containers, they may carry 400 TEUs and 4 lakh TEUs. You see, these containers are like parcels, like a postman brings letters, then he moves out of the post office, some letter for me, some letter for you, some letter for somebody, parcel for somebody. So these containers, the way they are positioned on the ship, they are positioned very strategically through AI. You plan them, next port is here, so move around the containers so that it is just put in the front to evacuate quickly. So this kind of thing has, and if this is done efficiently, like in Mundra port, compared to JNPT elsewhere, if it is done efficiently, then the turnaround time reduces, damage reduces, costs of port handling charges reduce. So this port is also having those AI facilities. So in all, economic sense it makes, economic justification, and another very important thing. See, the ports, when they are there, you have to multimodal ports. What is multimodal? Huge container ships and huge containers are removed. The huge warehousing facility, number one. Evacuation by rail. This is going to have the third largest railway underground tunnel of 19 kilometers. Why? And connected to the main railway trunk line. Evacuate to Delhi, evacuate to wherever, Kandla, wherever. So also on the NH66, National Highway 66 close by.
Right,
So all
sir.
in all, yeah. So all in all,
Let
historically,
me
the
let me
sport
let me
was
also
very
rope in.
prominent even
You're
in the
absolutely right,
mid
sir.
ages
You've made
also.
some
Yeah.
good points. Let me also rope in Shekhar into this conversation. Shekhar, in fact, let's also apprise our viewers that per container, exporters and importers are going to be saving somewhere around $100 to $150 of costs when it comes to using this particular port. This is not only about the kind of ships that can dock here, but it is also about the connectivity, the international connectivity that India is going to be able to enjoy. The proximity to international shipping routes when it comes to Europe and North America and East Asian countries is obviously one of the salient features of this particular port. Secondly, the connectivity within India, is just a couple of kilometers away from the highway that connects the rest of India. It's about 15 kilometers away from the Trivandrum airport. So this is obviously a huge game changer for the Indian economy.
Absolutely. Vineet, thank you for having me over. And I was listening to all the, eclectic guests who have joined in for this show. I think it goes without saying this is a big leap for India. In terms of ease of doing business, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of Kerala. Now, even in as we talk, I'm in Kerala right now, and everybody is really watching the news, trying to understand where this is going forward. Because I think this is something which is going to take India to the next stage, going to take Kerala to the next stage in terms of employment, job opportunities, and also understanding Kerala's potential. So this is a big leap. Like you also mentioned, it's also about how ergonomically it's designed in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the highways, in terms of roads, and the container port. This is just an engineering marvel for India, and of course it's made in India. But I think bigger than that, I think the whole potential of this activity is that it makes India a force to reckon with. Of course, the second thing is this is something which India has been wanting for a long time. In terms of as an emerging superpower, as an emerging nation, this is a port which stands out above the rest, and it's also in Kerala, which so the options are many. It's very dynamic, very widespread, very diverse. There is great flora and fauna here, and there are many more industries which could also be influenced by this as a domino effect. If this happens, and if it's been given as a symbolic push by the Honorable Prime Minister, which he always does, it just has a domino effect on other industries also. Other industries also do very well, and the fact that everybody was there in attendance today for the launch speaks for itself. From the opposition, from the ruling party, of course, but the fact that everybody in India is talking about this, we are talking about this right now. We're talking about a port which is very different from the rest, will obviously make the whole world sit up and notice that India is doing something very different. India is doing something which is out of the ordinary, and this sport is something very different. This sport is a marvel of India, and I think it's purely made in India at the end of the day, and I think that's really important in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of holistic development, in terms of economic growth, economic stability, job promotion, job rotation, managing the ecosystem, and of course, Kerala wins in this, India wins in this. I think that's important.
That's a good point, Shekhar. Kerala wins in it and India wins in it. And Professor Nalapat, India needs to win, isn't it? Because it seems after these tariff wars that were promulgated by Donald Trump, that this is a great opportunity for India when it comes to going one up versus China.
India is winning, frankly. Chinese economy is coming down. The Indian economy, on the contrary, is rising up. So India is winning, I can tell you, Vineet. And the reality is, that, as correctly been mentioned, the strategic significance of the sport is immense. And I think every major maritime power in the world will take notice, because this means that India has emerged as one of the top maritime powers in the world. So I think, quite frankly, it's a very great project with very great strategic significance. And as correctly been said, especially if there's a kinetic situation, we need a seamless logistics chain. And any kind of breaking up into smaller ships and all that will pose a hazard. So much better to have a seamless chain, and this provides that seamless chain. So I would say, Vineet, it's a very important project, and we should all be very happy that it's been commissioned by the Prime Minister himself, the PM himself, has understood very clearly the significance of this, and that's probably why he green-lighted it. And the Kerala government will also understand for Kerala what the significance is. So they will be strongly supporting it. So you have the CPM and you have the BJP coming together on an issue of national importance, which is the way things should be on issues of national importance, Vineet. So I'm very happy about this, very happy about this commissioning, very happy the Prime Minister is here to commission it. And I honestly believe, Vineet, this will be a game changer for the country, for shipping and for the country as a whole. Thank you.
Absolutely right, sir. And Dr. Kohli, if you look at China and its trajectory towards this, 18 trillion economy growth, it's the import-export and, the ease of getting in and out of China that has gotten them this far. And this is obviously that first step for India as well.
Absolutely. I think taking a leaf from China on some occasions, I don't see any harm in that, as you rightly said. China has become an economic superpower, a powerhouse over the last 3 to 4 decades, and primarily because of international trade. China's economy is, apart from domestic consumption, one of the key factors that drive Chinese economy is international trade. And I think India is catching up fast because the numbers which I read today as far as India's international export receipts are concerned, it's about $825 billion when they were finally statistically aligned. There was some confusion on the numbers, but then finally when they were revised, they were found to be $825 billion. And out of that, I think the share of merchandise, which is why, because we are talking in the context of a port, we always need to keep in mind that the exports, when we consider for a country, it also includes services exports. And India is a powerhouse on service exports, especially IT services. So the share of merchandise, which used to be lower than the services once upon a time and not too far ago, has now caught up, and the services is less and merchandise is more, which means the China plus one policy is working. A lot of things are happening in India, and whether it's the 5,000 crore order which came to Panipat of textiles once the tariffs were announced, or Apple deciding to manufacture most of its iPhones in India now. So all these things are being observed by the world, that India is becoming the new economic powerhouse. And I think it is infrastructure or maritime infrastructure like this which contributes, because you cannot always air dash, because for the cost reasons, there's a lot of air services, air freight services used for transportation, but that's not the most economical way. You can use that in an emergency. You can use it when you're really in a rush. But most of the time, it is the sea route which is taken for some of the finest products which are transported around the world. So I think that is where these kind of projects count. And I think maritime infrastructure, as pointed out by Commander Bhushan, I completely agree that most of the Indian ports did not have a deep docking facility. That is, larger ships could not be parked here, which is why the shipments had to be split. And it added to the cost, as you rightly said, $100 to $150 was the additional cost which you had to. And imagine the number of small ships or small vessels which had to be taken to divide the whole shipment. And then, of course, the international community was not able to use it. So that is where I think the port comes. As far as the tariff war and this port is concerned, I think this has just come at the right time, because India is going to be the very first nation in the world, as has been declared by the Trump administration, to sign the trade deal. So if India becomes the first nation, I think the timing of this port commissioning becomes very, very paramount, because you are setting up a port at a time when your nation becomes the largest democracy in the world and the oldest democracy in the world. They are tying hands together to become the first nation to have a deal with America. For that matter, of course, there's Korea, Japan, all lined up. But I think it has a greater significance because of the theme of event. My only contention is the building tensions between India and Pakistan, because they could be a slight deterrent, if obviously we have to teach them a lesson. But then some kind of economic price, we have to also pay if that happens, although that's no reason why India should not act. But I think those are aberrations here and there. There is no stopping as far as the Indian economy is concerned. We are on a path of growth. This decade, the next decade from 2025 to 2035, I feel is India's decade. We'll see a lot more commissioning happening on whether it is on the roads, whether it is airports, whether it's ports, whether it is railways, whether it is smart cities. I think the Indian government's commitment and mission to develop the infrastructure here is on course. And I think once the infrastructure is there, the 2047 dream of Prime Minister to make it as a developed country can only be achieved by that. No country can be developed unless there is a very solid and a robust infrastructure in place, Vineet.
Absolutely. I don't need to top that. In fact, you have synopsized it for us quite beautifully, Dr. Kohli. We've run out of time. I appreciate everybody who joined us and weighed in. We take a short break now. We'll be right back.